Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. You're watching another edition of The Small Business Show, exclusively right here at ASBN.com and now streaming on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Passion may start your business, but strategy is how you can be successful at it and actually make money at it. Joining us in studio is small business strategist and author Aysha Treadwell. Aysha's book, Passion and Strategy Go Hand in Hand: How to Avoid Common Mistakes and Build a Profitable, I'm going to underline that word, profitable business you love. It takes readers through the startup process of building a business, helping them to achieve success faster. Thanks for joining us in the studio today, Aysha. This is so timely that you're in here because there's a lot of small business owners that are trying to figure out how to make a buck and what their passion was, right?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You gotta love what you do, but you gotta make money at it.
There's no question about it. And I'm hoping to one day make money at welding. No, I'm just joking. But tell me, for the viewers out there that are not as familiar with your story as we are here at the show, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and what got you to this point.
Okay. Well, I like to always start off with it. I'm a mompreneur.
Okay. Got you. There's a lot of them listening right now.
That's right. We've tagged that word. I'm originally from Indianapolis, and I made Georgia my home in 2005.
Okay.
I'm fortunate to have had a business that I loved and created a successful business at it here in Georgia. And I'm embracing the pivot.
Okay. Tell me, what kind of business was it?
It was an adult daycare center.
Okay. So people that had senior parents or other relatives, they would come into you and say, here, kind of like you do with smaller children, right?
Unfortunately, yes. The saying is twice a child, once a man, twice a child.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. That's right.
But we took very good care of our seniors.
Sure, I bet. And you were saying how through COVID that became a very difficult business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, I can imagine. So talk to us about the book, which I've got right here, and I will tell you that it is a great book. It's an easy read. We're going to make it available to you right below this video that you're watching. You just have to click it. It'll take you right over to get a copy of it. Highly recommend it for everybody that's watching today. But the book is Passion and Strategy Go Hand in Hand. A, what motivated you to write the book? And then B, what are some of the takeaways you want the reader to leave with?
Well, what motivated me to write the book, actually I was really just writing it to share my challenges, but also the successes that I put in place to create a business. I mean, you and I both know that there's many businesses that don't make it 10 years or more. Many businesses that don't make it to 7 figures. The statistics show it's like 8.9% of businesses make it to 7 figures. So because I had reached some milestones and the successes, but some of the challenges were like riding a roller coaster to success. So I wanted to share that and be vulnerable. Because a lot of people don't want to share what got them there.
That's right. They just want to be a kind of that social media star and say, look, it's always been easy. I'm making millions of dollars. Here I am in this great vacation or driving this fancy car. But it's like, well, let's pull the curtain back a little bit, right?
Right. Yes. So. And I'm sorry, what was your second question?
So just in terms of what you want the reader to leave with.
Okay, yes. Revisiting their why, I talk a lot about that. That just helps you get back to why you actually started your business, because we can get in the weeds of it and forget that.
That's right.
And then one major point that I point out is we start off wearing all the hats, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's important to put experts around you to help you scale your business.
Sure.
Another point that I had to learn was loving your staff. They're the backbone of your business.
That's right.
So really empowering them to be what they want to be. And purchasing your own commercial space, which is one thing that we'll talk about, which impacted my business and what I'm doing now with other business owners. Because that can just really provide you an asset, and it just really changes the game.
Sure. And you're talking about actually owning the office space that you're in.
Yes. So I talk about that in the book as well. But there's just a lot of little takeaways that
Yeah.
maybe sometimes you just don't think about.
Sure.
But overall, it's working on the business
Right.
versus always in the business.
Sure, sure. You hear a lot of people say, try to figure out what your why is and start there, right? Which is great advice. What about for the people that are watching, what about if the why is to make money? I want to get rich. That's why I'm doing this. Is that okay?
Well,
or
that's
should
their
there be,
why.
but should there be something beyond that? Because it seems like that's too maybe superficial. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're going to make money at it, but do you really want to help seniors, or do you really want to, be an interior decorator to help other people? And
Well, I
do you
think
find that to be the case?
A lot of people think that success is making the money, right?
Yeah.
But success is really enjoying what you do.
Right, right,
So ultimately, you may be making the money that you want to make,
Yeah.
but are you happy?
right.
And
Right.
so that's why I talk about the passion and the strategy.
Yeah, for
Love
sure.
your business, but create the life of your dreams.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So every day you go into work, it's not work, it's kind of like play,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, there's no question about it. So in terms of being a small business owner yourself, what are some of the advice that you would have, and I know you've got some in the book here, but for others that are thinking about making that step and leaving their full-time position, or maybe they've cashed in some chips and now they're ready to retire, but they might be in their 50s and 60s and they go, hey, I got a lot of runway ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
What's some of the advice you'd share with them before they make that big plunge, both in terms of their spirit in that and also their finances?
Research.
Yeah, really.
Research is important, and we skip over that.
Yeah, that's
You
for
know,
sure.
I meet a lot of business owners that we have the dream, we're ready to go for it, but we don't want to skip the research step or the business planning phase.
Right.
You know,
It's
even
not
if-
the fun, sexy
It's
stuff
not the
either.
fun stuff, right?
Right.
It might not, and it might be a tedious project, but it's important.
Yeah,
And cash flow projections.
yeah. Yeah, that can get you in trouble, can it?
Right. You want to know, what
Yeah.
can you make
That's right.
from the business, and
right.
but I would just say, really hone in on what gets you up in the morning.
Yeah,
Like you said,
Yeah.
You want to be able to go into work and it's play.
Yeah.
I'm sure this feels like play for
it is.
you.
There's no question
right?
about it. I'm at a point in my life where I just totally love coming in. As somebody said to me once, I set the alarm clock to go to bed, not to get up, because I just love every day. And
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to be in that position. A lot of people aren't. They have to go in and they're like, I can't wait to either retire or find a different gig, or whatever the case might be. But I'm not one of those. And I think there's a lot of business owners out there that started with that passion and still believe very, very much so in the work that they're doing each day, and that's what keeps them going, right?
Yeah.
Even through
Revisiting
those-
your why.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And it'll keep you going through those thin days.
That's right.
Right?
I had to have that.
Yeah, that's right.
And I
for
talk
sure.
about in the book, even through some of the challenges or some personal painful points, I could walk into that center and see the smiles on all the seniors' faces,
Sure.
or what we were doing for their families, and
Yeah.
it put it all in perspective for
Oh,
me.
I bet. Wow, very rewarding position to be
Yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we see a lot of people out there that, and I don't know if this happened to be a franchise either, but there's people that think about franchising. Is that a good way to go for a small business owner to to look first at that, to say, let me look at a franchise? Did you have a franchise?
I did have a
Oh, you did?
franchise for 10
Okay.
years, and
Okay.
then we ended up rebranding
Okay.
and going independent. And I think franchising is a great way to explore options and find out what you like to do.
Sure, sure.
It could be nice to purchase a business if all the legwork is already done.
Right.
Some things, I do talk about that as well in my book. Some things that you want to make sure is, again, go back to the research, because essentially you're going into business with this person,
Yeah, that's
or
right.
this franchisor,
That's right.
or
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that your assets are protected
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, my experience wasn't the best, but I wouldn't have done it any differently.
Okay.
I didn't know the industry, and
Yeah.
it helped me learn the industry.
Sure.
So
Okay, to put you in a position where you could rebrand and say, okay,
Yeah.
I know enough about it now. Let me cut ties. Let me do this on my own, and then go from there, right?
Yes.
Did you ever get to the point where you thought, I've got such a great thing here, I could franchise what I'm doing?
senior care was different.
Okay.
And it is a personal business.
Very, very much so. Yeah.
So what I loved about it is that I did know all my families.
Okay.
I did know all my participants. And I didn't want to scale it in the sense that I wouldn't have that option.
Right, right.
But franchising is a great way to go to scale your business and get it all over the country. And
you wrote the book. You moved on from your business. Obviously, you've got a lot of runway ahead of you.
Yes.
Another business that up your sleeve that you're thinking about?
Well, right now, I really enjoy helping other entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Craft and create successful strategies for their business.
Okay.
And one being how to purchase your own commercial space for your business.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I'm focusing on.
Okay.
So I'm launching an online and an in-person class in 2024 to actually teach them how to do that.
Wow.
It impacted my bottom line when I did that.
Oh, yeah,
I
I could imagine.
expanded and bought the building, and it can really put a positive aspect on your business. And although I never thought I was an author, I stumbled upon.
Guess what? You are an author.
Right. I stumbled upon this.
You are an author.
I'm writing my second book.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's great.
It's actually pulled some creative inspiration out of me.
Sure. Wow. That's great. That's fantastic. What's the second book going to be about?
It's called Owner Occupied.
Okay.
And it's going to be about
buying your building,
right.
or you're buying your storefront.
Just like you, I love small business.
Okay.
So it's about, helping other small business owners be successful.
Sure. And is it safe to say that a lot of small business owners don't know how, I don't want to say easy, but how close they are and how they can actually acquire the building that they're in, right? I think a lot of people just go, oh no, I don't have that kind of money. I don't know what to do. Where would I start? Who would ever lend me millions of dollars to buy a building? Even though you might be 25% of the tenant or 50% of the tenant, in some cases you might be the only tenant in that building, never realizing I should probably think about buying the building, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And that can help too.
Yeah.
From a woman perspective, African American woman perspective, of closing the wealth gap.
Okay, for sure. Not only that,
own your space.
But I've spoken, obviously we host a show here at ASBN, which is the SBA update, and they talk a lot about funds that are available to...
For owner occupants.
Right?
Yes.
That's right, specifically for women of color.
Yes.
So there's a whole plethora of different agencies and monies available out there for this very purpose, isn't there?
Well, and like you said, that people think they can't do it.
Right.
But they have an immediate asset to attach, that will fall under your collateral.
That's right.
So it's easier to obtain than people think.
That's right. And if there's other tenants in the building, you can use that rent to come in and qualify for the loan, right? Yeah, a lot of people, it's a great book you're writing. I want to bring you back on and talk about that very issue, because there's a lot of business owners, we've talked about it here before, should I buy the building or the office or the storefront that I'm in versus continually renting? Obviously there are pros and cons both ways. If somebody does try to acquire their building, they might use more of their cash on hand for down payments or things like that. But if they do it right, they might not even need to touch that, right?
Right. Yeah. And one thing that I talk about is the impact that it did for my business. I was renting my space, and my lease amount was 16% of my revenue. Okay. When I purchased my building, I expanded. Okay. I doubled in size.
Wow.
And my mortgage or lease expense at that point was now 7% of my revenue.
Oh my gosh, wow. That's fantastic.
So meeting people that think that it's so far-fetched that they can't do it.
That's right.
You can.
That's right. You definitely can. I have before in businesses that I've owned, and sometimes that's also the glue that helps you to really get more money either for your business, or when you sell your business, you can lease that building back to the new business owner, right? So if somebody buys your business, you don't have to necessarily sell the building. You can say, well, great, for 10 years, let's sign a lease, and I'll still be collecting from that business, right?
Create an asset for yourself.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Well, we want to bring you back in to talk about that for sure. So Aysha Treadwell, small business strategist. We're going to show the information on the screen here to get a hold of her. If you're going, I need an Aysha in my corner to set up my business, or at least help me to get it to grow, then you're just one click away. So we'll also make it possible for you to get her book right here with just a click as well, take you right to it so you can get the book. As I said, it's an easy read, but it's an important read, especially if you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur. So Aysha, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. This has been fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.